The reason why this 10-year-old girl is being tried as an adult is really shocking. On a cold November morning in Wisconsin, the 10-year-old girl stood with her father in front of the judge. Amber Sweeney, her mother, cried next to her as the judge told her she was being charged with first-degree murder. It was even stranger that she was tried as an adult. What did this little girl do that would get her charged with such major crimes? The truth behind it is very scary. For Nate Liddell, the most important thing in life was having a kid. He chose to adopt a child to experience the joys of fatherhood after building a successful career and getting support from his family. It was too early for him to know that the trip would be hard. It took a long time, but he finally got to hold his son Jackson. They became close right away and deeply. Their happiness would soon be broken, though, since Nate worked full-time. He left his son at daycare while he was gone. He finally decided on Amber Sweeney's pals and playmates, which she runs out of her home in Chippewa County. Nate liked Amber's attitude and how well she got along with kids. He felt safe leaving his son with her. He didn't know that Amber's house was dangerous, which was a shame. Not only did Amber and her husband run a daycare, they also took in foster children. One of their suspects was a girl who was 10 years old and whose name will not be released because of her age. She came from a troubled home, so she was taken in so that she could have stability and love. Things turned very bad on October 30th, 2018, though Nate dropped Jackson off at Amber's as usual that fateful morning, but he didn't know it would be the last time he would see his son's bright eyes and contagious smile. What happened next set off a chain of events that would destroy his world. The events of that afternoon are still not clear, but they were put together using the accounts of Amber Sweeney, her husband, and the 10-year-old girl. Amber said that she had told her 3 foster kids to play outside because she didn't want them to be around the daycare kids and a baby was sleeping. At 3:40 p.m., though, she saw her newest foster daughter sitting in a corner. Soon after, Amber heard Jackson scream, and then there was a sudden quiet. She ran into the kitchen and saw the baby lying on the floor with blood coming out of his head. Her adopted daughter stood nearby, looking nervous and unable to explain what had happened. Since the baby wasn't responding, Amber called 911 right away. At the same time, Nate was waiting for news about Jackson from the daycare when he got a call at work about the crash. Nate rushed to the hospital without realizing how bad the injury was. When he got there, he found Jackson in intensive care with a head injury from a blow. Even though he was fighting for his life, the outlook was not good. Nate was very sad, but he held on to hope and agreed that Jackson could be moved to Gillette Children's Specialty Healthcare Hospital in St. Paul, Minnesota. The brain growth finally got the best of Jackson, who passed away on November 4. The young girl who was with Jackson at the time was questioned by the detectives working on the case. Even though she denied being involved at first, her answers made people more suspicious. At the same time, Amber gave up her babysitting license and stopped running her business to avoid more legal trouble. The 10-year-old girl was questioned by the cops several times over the next few days. After a tough session, she finally admitted that she hurt Jackson by mistake as she held him. She said she dropped him, and he hit his head on a chair, making him cry out. She acted without thinking and stomped on the baby's head to stop him because she was afraid of what would happen. Sadly, this action caused serious skull and brain injuries. This was shown by hospital and police records that showed a shoe print on the baby's head. She then stomped on the 6-month-old's head because she was scared and in a hurry. Police who were looking into the case said that the girl had a lot of mental problems. It's still not clear why she was in foster care, but it's clear that she shouldn't have been left alone with the kids at the daycare. The young girl was charged with first-degree intentional homicide after she was caught for Jackson's passing. She was sent to a youth detention center with a $50,000 cash bond for her case. Her parents were crying as they stood in front of the judge. At the hearing, Nate sat behind her in court and kept his eyes on her the whole time. Of course, she was only 10 years old, but to him, she was the one who ended his son and should be punished. She's a criminal, he told Inside Edition. I had spoken to Jackson's family a few times to let them know that he wouldn't make it. She took the life of my son. When the news came out that Jackson had passed away and that the 10-year-old girl had been involved, it shocked the whole country. The crime was horrifying because it was so violent and the person who did it was so young. The choice to try her as an adult, on the other hand, caused even more discussion. Wisconsin Law says that any child over 10 years old who is charged with first-degree murder must go to adult court. Most of the time, though, these cases are sent to the youth court system. The judge in this case didn't want to send the case to juvenile court, which made people wonder if the girl was mentally mature enough to understand what she did and how it would affect others. Nate was in unbearable pain when he lost his son. Even though it hurts and makes him angry, he treasures the memories of those 6 months. Jackson's contagious laugh, beautiful smile, and happy bounces in his pack and play chair will always be remembered by him. He wants justice to win in the end, but Jackson brought so much happiness into their lives that nothing can take that away. That's all about the first story, and now let's watch another similar one. A whole society has been found in the tunnels that run under Las Vegas. When we think of Las Vegas, we usually picture a place where rich and powerful people come to the Strip at night to try their luck at casinos and party until dawn in the hottest bars. The city is known for its wealth, luxury, and appeal, but below the busy streets is another world, a secret place where many people think is just an urban legend. This is something that tourists might not want to experience during their stay, even though it is undeniably real. Like the casinos and theaters above ground, there is a world below the skyline of Las Vegas. Every year, a lot of people go to the Las Vegas Strip to drink, gamble, and have fun. There is a secret city hidden behind the flashy lights and attractions, like the Grand Canals at the Venetian Las Vegas or the Las Vegas High Roller. These tubes were once floodways that were turned into homes. Back in 1990, the city of Las Vegas built a system of flood tubes that were similar to New York City's subway system. Over time, people started living in these tunnels because they were easy to get to, even though most people saw them as simple overpasses. These tubes go under the city for about 300 miles, and they appeal to a certain group of people. Some people see living in these caves as a lifeline, especially those who are struggling with mental illness, addiction, or poverty, groups that are often ignored by the outside world. Many people find shelter in these tunnels, but some people choose to live here for reasons other than necessity. For example, nomadic tourists looking for a cheaper alternative to hotels on the Strip may choose to live here. Life below, on the other hand, is different from life above. For many people who live there, time blurs together, making it hard to tell the difference between night and day. It's hard to tell whether it's morning or evening when the clock strikes 6, as Shay, a 53-year-old woman who lives in these tunnels, says. She says they know it's daytime if light comes through the tunnel opening and shows that it's daylight. But for some people, living underground doesn't feel like heaven, it feels like being sent away. Anthony, a tunnel dweller who moved here after serving time in jail, says this, showing how society wants them to be invisible even though they are here and want to share their stories. As for the tube networks themselves, some areas are pretty comfortable. Some residents have fully furnished their rooms with tables, mattresses, and other furniture, which is a sign that they have lived there for a long time and don't want to leave. However, the prices and difficulties of moving these things keep people from moving. Still, this stale way of life comes with risks, especially when it comes to floods. The devastating flood of 1975 led to the building of flood tunnels, which show how dangerous heavy rainstorms can be. People who live there know they're living on borrowed time because they know a sudden flood could force them to leave at any time. Sad to say, flooding has ended people, like in 2017, when many people drowned when a tunnel filled with water. Flooding isn't the only danger that tunnel dwellers have to deal with, though. Overdoses are also a common problem. Overdoses are made worse by the fact that emergency services take longer to get to people in the confusing tubes because of medicine abuse problems. Also, people who live in these underground communities often don't call the police right away because they're afraid of getting in trouble with the law. This shows how common illegal activities are in these places. Since there are no surveillance cameras in these tunnels, it is not unusual for illegal activities, including major crimes like murder, to happen there. Angel, who lives in the caves, told Business Insider that this kind of illegal activity has gotten the attention of the police, which is not good, since police are now keeping a closer eye on tunnel entrances. Many people who live underground have had to leave their homes and things to avoid being caught. There are, however, problems these people face that go beyond what the police can see. Angel pointed out how badly they lack basic amenities when she was asked what she misses most about living in a normal house above ground. She complained in a funny way that there wasn't a toilet or a shower, saying that she had cried the last time she had a shower, which is something many people have done in similar situations. It is very hard to live in the caves because there is no plumbing and other things we usually take for granted. Living conditions are already hard, and the tunnels are even worse because they don't have much light. Only light can get in through grates that let water in during rainstorms. Even with these problems, some people stay because they have to. Rusty, a 50-year-old dweller, had to join her husband in the mines because of how society treated him because of his past. Even though they loved each other, the choice wasn't without risk because the desert heat is always there. Because Las Vegas is in the desert, it's always hot, and people don't have fans or air conditioning to cool off, let alone a glass of water. Rusty and many other people in the caves have felt the same way. Even though she is suffering from a heat stroke that could be fatal, she stays in the caves with many of her fellow residents. Some of them are determined to never leave. About 2,000 people live in this network of water tunnels, and many of them have no plans to leave. Craig told The Sun why this is the case and said he would rather be homeless in the caves than anywhere else. The Las Vegas tunnels give people privacy, so they are out of sight and out of mind, even though they get a lot of attention from news teams, TV shows, and graffiti artists. Even though the nearby casinos are tempting because they let people like Steven look for lost gambling chips, life in the caves is still dangerous. However, charity groups such as the Shine a Light Foundation, which was started by journalist Matthew O'Brien, can offer some help. O'Brien, who has done a lot of study and talked to a lot of tunnel dwellers, wants to help them in many ways. Still, the tunnels are a temporary place for people to stay while the city of Las Vegas tries to find more stable housing for its homeless. At the same time, the Las Vegas Flood Control District is continuing to grow the tunnel network. The goal is to send rainwater to Lake Mead during big storms. However, this growth also means that homeless people will probably move deeper into the new tunnels as they open up. Above is today's story. If you like it, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. See you next time.